Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Tulis.
Local economy requires local government. It requires self-government, first of all. And then it requires that governments on the civil side be restrained by law, that they be restrained and that they operate not according to the ambitions of the peoples who are in them or others, but that they comply with what the people's will, and I would suggest through God's will as well, through revelation. The revelation for the civil magistrate, for the sheriff, for county government, for the General Assembly would be, of course, the Constitution, which is generally constitutions are permissive documents. They let legislatures, governors, and states determine their future. But what do we do when law is overturned by the action of men? What if laws are overturned by opinion, not by other laws that supersede and replace laws, but by mere opinion? Well, that's what happened out of Washington not long ago in June with the pro-Poofter decision, the pro-gay decision, Obergefell versus Hodges, which pretends to overturn marriage. The press says that it established that it allows gay marriages and so on. But what it really did was deconstruct marriage, or it claimed to deconstruct marriage and then impose upon Tennessee and all the other states that don't have gay marriage. To hear about this whole idea of how law can be restored, how lesser governing officials can defy and reject and declare null and void the actions of greater ones. We have Cal Zastrow. He's a pro-life activist, and he's a family man. He's going to be in Mississippi right now, and he'll be in Tennessee on Saturday to help marshal support for a bill in the General Assembly. It's the May Beavers and Mark Pody bill, the two main drivers out of Wilson County, just east of Nashville. It's called the Tennessee Natural Marriage Defense Act, and it is a very vigorous defense of this whole idea of local economy and the free market, and actually the defense of constitutional government. Cal, give my listener a thumbnail sketch of what the problem is and what this bill does to address it.
The problem is this, David, is that we no longer have our elected officials doing their job, making law and defending the law and taking responsibility for the law to protect innocent people and punish criminals. We no longer have that. What we have is we have some judges pretending that their opinions are higher than the law. When people say, show me the law, we just got to uphold the law. Okay, who voted on the law? Where is it written? Who voted for it? Which executive signed it? Who's enforcing that? So we want the rule of law. But what happened in the Obergefell Supreme Court decision is that they said the Constitution of the state of Tennessee and the other states, that your state law, your state constitution means nothing. Our opinion is that marriage, you cannot define marriage as one man, one woman. And your state constitution has no authority against our opinion. So it's unelected people, unelected judges, instead of saying, here's how we see the law in its constitutional context. That's their job, to issue opinions on what constitutional context is on current laws. But when they make up laws, they've gone out of bounds. They no longer have the authority to do that, any more than they have the authority to pull you over if you're speeding and shoot you in the foot. That is not their place. That is not their job. And the greatest tyranny is when we allow them to get away with it, when our elected officials, our county commissioners, our sheriffs, our state legislatures, and our governor, when we allow the courts to trample on the law and to treat their opinions as if they're law, that is even a greater tyranny. So we're excited that Tennessee is the very first state to introduce legislation saying we're going to uphold our state constitution and our state law, and we're not going to be criminal lawbreakers in joining in the Obergefell decision. It's an exciting time.
Well, we have in Tennessee common law marriage. We're not a common law marriage state, but common law marriage, as recognized in states such as Alabama, is a fundamental right that every man has. My listener has the right to marry under common law without anybody's permission. However, we have in Tennessee, we have a claim upon marriage by the state, and that's been of long standing. People get marriage licenses. They somehow are afraid to act under their rights to marry, and so they get the state's permission. They get the state to record their marriages and also to permit their marriages, and that's the system that's at issue. It's not that you've lost a fundamental right to marry, but it's that the state's interest in marriage has been overturned in favor of the homosexual sodomite possession.
Right, by over 80%. The people of Tennessee have voted that they want to define marriage as one man, one woman. That's what they want for the definition in their Constitution. And the U.S. Supreme Court has said, your vote, your voice, your law, your Constitution don't mean anything. We're going to tell you what the law is, and we're going to negate yours. But the issue is usurpation of power here, and judicial supremacy over law, judicial supremacy over the Constitution, over common law, over voted upon law. So I'm very thankful to be back passing and helping in Tennessee, and let's fight this tyranny peacefully and lawfully and restore the rule of law and order to our state.
Well, how does this bill by May Beavers and Mark Pody do that? What does it say, and how does it propose that things can be restored to the way they were before Obergefell?
I'm quoting the bill now. It says, whereas the United States Supreme Court is not the sole and final arbiter of the powers of the states under the 9th and 10th Amendments when an action area outside of its jurisdiction, and whereas the judiciary was created by the founders to have neither force nor will, but merely judgment, says, whereas the United States Supreme Court is not infallible and has issued lawless decisions, be it enacted by the General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, Tennessee Code Annotated Title 36, Chapter 3, Part 1 is amended, and in the following as a new appropriately designed section, that we will not recognize the lawful authority of the Obergefell decision. And it also will criminalize officials who violate the law of Tennessee by issuing marriage licenses that are not lawfully to be issued in the state of Tennessee, to polygamist families, to same-sex couples, to people and animals, or to corporations. So it's an exciting opportunity that Representative Pody and Senator Beavers have done to lead the nation in saying, let's uphold the rule of law instead of the rule of court opinions and tyranny.
Well, how is it that you, Cal Zastrow, and others in Nashville are trying to generate interest? What is the agenda to have people such as my listener learn more about this, or take some kind of role in restoring statutory marriage under the Constitution?
We've built a new website that people can sign up on and get more information on. It's brand new, so all of the position papers and things aren't there yet, but it's called courtscannotmakelaws.com/TN. And what we're doing is educating and informing people to get involved and to care about. And also we're getting people to try and educate their legislators to become co-sponsors of the House and Senate bills. So if a large majority of them will co-sponsor now, we've got 2 months before the legislature starts up. So this is what we can do. We can educate our local state reps, our state senators, and we can get them to sign on as co-sponsors to these bills. It's House Bill 1412 and Senate Bill 1437. So that when the legislature reconvenes, that the political forces working against us and the moral forces working against the law, that they cannot bury these bills in committee. If a large majority are co-sponsored, then it goes straight to the House floor, straight to the Senate floor for a vote. So that would be our goal. That may not be easy to do because the legislature is not in session right now, and folks are working and off with their families, and it's harder to get a hold of them, but we're encouraging people to try, especially if their elected officials are out fundraising or doing town hall meetings, etc. Or just call up your neighbors if you live near them and go see them and say, hey, we invite you to co-sponsor these bills and to say yes to the rule of law and no to the no to the rule of lawless tyranny.
We would think that Governor Bill Haslam, the head of the executive branch in Tennessee, would be in favor of these arguments. But I wonder. He is an elder in the Presbyterian Church, kind of mid, not really the conservative Presbyterian Church, but not the liberal one. He's a Christian man. He's a man of principle, and I believe in many ways he does probably also the richest elected official in the state, maybe the richest governor. But he's a man, in many ways, a man of principle. You'd think that he would be in favor of this. Now, you'd think he would even jump for it, because he, with a show of sadness, a show of regret, had his Attorney General, Mr. Slattery, direct all the county clerks, the 95 county clerks in Tennessee, to yield to the Obergefell opinion as if it were a new law passed by the General Assembly, and they, with a kind of impotent cowardice, said, "We can do nothing more. We are helpless to stop this." Is that true? Is it true that lawyers can tell you what to do if you're a governor?
Well, it's very sad that the governor has chosen to uphold lawless criminal behavior instead of uphold the law, and to instruct the Attorney General to go along with that. That's very sad, but that is very true. The governor has talked to the clerks. The Attorney General has talked to the clerks and told them that they should not, they will not, they cannot uphold the law and Constitution of Tennessee, that they will follow the lawless opinion in the Obergefell decision. In fact, the governor did that on the same day, June 26th last summer, when the U.S. Supreme Court issued their ruling. The governor came out shortly thereafter and said, "Okay, that's the law of the land," when actually it's the lawlessness of the land. Well, so that's true that the governor is opposed to the rule of law and upholding the Constitution of Tennessee at this time.
Explain to my listener, Cal Zastrow, the difference between political action and a legal action. Lawyers guide business. They'll guide my listeners, businessman, in a legal action. But in the end, it is the business owner. In the end, it is the governor who has to decide. That kind of action is not plainly and simply legal.
Right. Do we want to be ruled with opinions, or do we want to be ruled with law? That's the foundational question.
And it seems the governor...
law is not the will of a man. The law of a governor, the will of a judge or a policeman, that is not what the law is. The law is superior to them, and they take an oath to uphold the law.
And it seems like...
So when the law says...
Go ahead.
So when the law clearly says, here's what the definition of marriage is. Here's what will happen in the state regarding marriage. That is the law. Now, it's a political manipulation and it's criminal behavior to disregard the law and insert someone's will or someone's opinion upon that. So before, if Tennessee wants to change if the voters here in Tennessee want to change their state constitution, okay, the legislature can bring that back up. They can discuss it, they can decide it, they can vote on that constitutional amendment, they can put that before a popular vote of the people. Okay, let's have that fight, let's do that. But until that happens, well, the law remains as it is. Please, folks, don't pretend to be Christians. Don't pretend to be law enforcement officials. Don't pretend to be elected officials who are governing well when you totally ignore that law. You ignore the Constitution and go with people's opinions instead. So it's a political manipulation. It's a pile-on game here that's happening where, oh, well, the Supreme Court said it, so we just abandon our law and we'll just go with what those people say, with what their opinion is. It's a horrible thing to do to the rule of law in our nation and in our state.
The question that I think would answer is something like this, Cal Zastrow. The governor is advised by his Attorney General Herbert Slattery III that this is the High Court's opinion. This is the law, and for an attorney, that is true. A High Court opinion is law, but not everyone's an attorney. So the High Court opinion, which may be a law for an attorney, is not just law. It's not a law for a governor. It's just an opinion, and he has the wherewithal as a man in his manhood, as a person, and in his office to uphold the Tennessee Constitution and the U.S. Constitution. He has a position to say, well, I don't really care what you say the law is. I don't really care what lawyers think the law is, or because it's not a law to me. Why? Because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not bound by that system. I have a greater responsibility than just the legalities. And so I guess what I'm asking for is for you to describe it's a political decision. In other words, it's a decision which has perils and risks that are not simply legal. They're moral. There could be military. There are other fields that upon which the governor could stand and say we are going to defend marriage come what may.
Right. The governor could say, and he's taken an oath to uphold the law. He did not take an oath to uphold court opinions. He did not take a law, or he did not take an oath to uphold popular whims of the people.
Popular delusions.
To uphold the law. And so he must obey that oath and uphold the law in this situation.
And it seems like he should.
What he's doing is a political decision to defy the law and go with some other people's opinions. And so we're not advocating rebellion against the courts of the government, of the governor. We're not advocating that at all. We're defying lawlessness with upholding the law. That's what we want people to do. Get educated about how they can interpose, how they can peacefully uphold the law, and it's the governor's job to uphold the law here.
Well, Cal Zastrow,
tyrants.
Cal Zastrow, explain how the ideas that you're describing here and the ideas that my listener, I think, is interested in hearing more about. How do they originate in Christianity? How is it that Christianity makes it so that an official can say no to an emperor, that an official can say, maybe like Daniel, can say no to a figure of the scale of Nebuchadnezzar, who effectively owned the world at the time?
That was an interesting case, because Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were lesser magistrates in a civil government. They were civil servants, and their authority had power of life and death. He could just say, his word was law. So he could say, you're dead, and you're dead. That's it. That was the law. They could do that. But what those people did is they upheld the law. And when the king ordered them to break the law, when the king said, I'm the law and you must violate your conscience, you must violate the law of God, they said, we have drawn a line, and that we will not violate God's law. We will not violate who God's character is. Do to us what you will. We will trust God, and we will do what's right. This is throughout biblical history. It's throughout church history, including in the book of Acts, where the apostles were commanded not to preach or teach in the name of Jesus, because some folks didn't like it and caused a bit of an uproar. And they said, we must obey God rather than man. And so that's a Christian principle of upholding the law and doing it peacefully, not saying those people are lawbreakers and let's go get just an armed mob together and do violence upon them. No, that isn't it at all. God is a God of order. He wants there to be civil magistrates. God is pleased. It's one of the fruits of Christian culture and Christian society that we have the culture that we do, that we have the laws that we do, that we're not just governed by warlords and bandits, that we have the rule of law. However, when that law goes against God, goes against itself, when people try and usurp that, that's where the individual believer, and especially the civil magistrate needs to stand up and say, no, we're going to do what's right here.
What you're saying, Cal,
is and say, no, in my county, we're not going to let tyrants come in and break the law.
Yeah. What if the sheriff? What if the sheriff of your county? Well, let me think of something. What if a law said, okay, you can kill your baby 5 days after birth? This law is passed by the General Assembly. Would Jim Hammond, the county sheriff here in Hamilton County, would he be in his rights to forbid any such thing and to say no one can kill a baby outside the womb 5 days after birth, and if they do, I'm going to arrest that person and charge him with murder. He knows that if he does that, he's going to be sued by the ACLU and others.
He would be within his right to do that. It would be his duty to do that.
And he would not be the lawbreaker. He would be the law enforcer.
The General Assembly, they cannot make a law. If they make a law that violates the Constitution, that law is null and void on its face. The Constitution guarantees every innocent person, the right to life, liberty, and property. And to say that a baby at whatever stage is not a person and has no right to life, then that is a violation of the Constitution and should be ignored as lawlessness by the county sheriff, and he should uphold the law and protect those innocent persons.
What you're saying, Cal Zastrow, is that Christianity, in its idea of government, makes government personal, because God is personal, government is personal, right. And so every official, even if he's a county clerk, which is simply a scribe in a county, even he has authority before God because he made an oath before God. He has the authority to say, I enforce the Constitution and I protect the people personally under the Constitution, because that's my job, is to be a constitutional officer. I protect the people. I save them from their enemies, internal and external. Even though I'm just a scribe, I'm just a pencil pusher and a record keeper, I have that authority. And so Christianity, in our understanding of government, makes even a lesser official have the authority to defy a king, to defy a president, to defy a United Nations, even, right? I mean, it makes government personal, and it gives personal responsibility for the enforcement and protection of liberties to the individual state actor.
All of us are accountable. And yes, we need pencil pushers that will be honest and keep accurate records and will uphold the law and say, no, you can't get a fraudulent marriage license. No, you can't register to vote 47 times here. We need people to rule and uphold the law, and to be civil servants and civil magistrates that will do what's right before God and before the law.
Okay, Cal Zastrow, give the website again that you're want my listener to visit.
www.courtscannotmakelawscom/TN. Encourage folks to sign up and get more information about upholding the rule of law and stopping the tyranny.
All right, there's an event in Nashville, December 5. Is that right?
December 5th. We'll be having it at a church building. That's not finalized and nailed down yet, but that will be up soon on the website. We invite people to come for more information, to hear more about this doctrine of lesser magistrate interposition, upholding the rule of law against tyranny, and also how people get more involved and volunteer if they choose to.
Well, Cal Zastrow, thanks for joining my listener and me here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
God bless you. Thanks for having me on, David.
Cal Zastrow is an activist for the unborn, and has been already once in Tennessee to help organize support for the Beavers Pody legislation that creates a defense for marriage. That bill is called the Tennessee Natural Marriage Defense Act. And he is asking you, my listener, to go to a website, and you can subscribe there and get updates on coming events in this matter. Again, it's courtscannotmakelaws.com/TN. And that's courtscannotmakelaws.com/TN. And Cal Zastrow is making the argument that Christianity shows the way for personal government. And it allows even minor officials, sheriffs, county clerks, to say no to emperors, to mighty ones, to regiments of black-robed jurists out of Washington. He can say no to them. Of course, we here have Bill Knowles, a man who collapsed before that opinion, not rejecting his oath of office, rejecting the Constitution. But God is merciful, right? God is patient, and people do change their minds. We would hope that Bill Knowles and other county clerks who have capitulated in Tennessee will think that there's something that they've done wrong. There's something they need to do right. They can make amends. This tide of mud, if you will, from the lug butt lobby, the lug butt theory, can be diverted and things restored. But if not, they can't be restored. You always have this option.